So my name is Akar. I'm founder of a company called Invertive. I'm coming from Istanbul here, and my main idea in this talk will be to show you how product management and UX design connects under the roof called innovation, and how we, all the product people, are innovators. So when we talk about innovation, it's basically a quite complex topic, and so the title is Product Management is Complexity Management in essence. So this is the plan. We will first talk about how all of us are innovators. Then it's very important to build, create innovation, to build things people want. So I will specifically talk about a methodology called jobs to be done there. And finally, I will talk about another different methodology, which is something I'm working on, trying to develop myself. It's called 5 years of product management and UX, so that we will hopefully go through from theoretical to practical all the way down. But before I start, I want to thank the organizers, obviously, for inviting me here. This is not my first time in Ukraine. I've been to Kharkov before. Do I pronounce it right? Kharkov, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. Kharkov. So it's my second time here. But the funny thing is, my family has a business here, like for 10 years. They sell leather goods here, jackets, all this kind of stuff.
Do we have to stop?
So if you want to buy, I can provide. And we also make bags to them. The funny thing is here that this is the first time I'm coming to Odessa in all these 10 years. I instantly regretted it because the city is very beautiful. And another funny thing is here that no one from my family is here because it's Ramadan time in Turkey. So everyone is in Turkey, but I'm in Odessa. Anyway, so as I said, this is the plan. But before I start, I ask you to ask me questions whenever you want. Do not wait for me to finish a sentence even. If you want to ask something, please ask me so that I can elaborate. And so I'm not British, you're not British, but we are speaking English, so there might be some disconnection sometimes. Please, if it's not clear enough, if I'm not being clear enough, ask me to clarify. And I like it to be more like a chat instead of me talking all the time. So why do I get to talk here? I just want to quickly clarify the why and introduce myself. I'm the organizer in ProductTank Istanbul too, as well as running my own company. And if you want to connect with me, you can use this link to find me on LinkedIn. I just use LinkedIn. I don't have any other social media. I guess I have Twitter, but I never use it at all. I've been in digital product for almost 10 years now. I started as a coder, then I quickly jumped to project management, and also I worked as a Scrum Master. But then I realized that instead of technical and project problems, I mostly enjoy people problems and business problems. So for the last 7-8 years, I'm mostly focused on innovation, product management, and UX design. So these are some of the projects we did as the team of Invertive. You can see Ukraine. I've been to Kharkov for a project too. As well as doing projects, we also like to share our knowledge by speaking in these kind of events and writing. And I can tell you that the idea to write to ProductTank is a very good one if you want to improve yourselves, because it helped me a lot. Basically, I started my own consultancy business by first writing articles, then writing newsletters, and I saw that people are interested in what I'm talking. Then I founded my business on top of that. So if you have any ideas that you want to test out, I strongly suggest you to write about it. So we do this stuff I already told these are the companies we worked up until now. Who here knows about Zeppelin? Do you use it? No. Cool. Zeppelin, interestingly, I was working as a program manager for this startup acceleration program called Startup Bootcamp. They are, I guess, the second largest accelerator in the world after Y Combinator. So Zeppelin, one of the companies there I got the chance to coach. What brings me today here is the combination of working with startups like Zeppelin, but also with large companies like Komodo. Maybe you know Komodo because they have a lot of presence here too. So I got the chance to work on these two extremes, and my insights are coming from both of these extremes, and I like to find the middle way in between. I will talk about this methodology we developed for ourselves to better understand how product management and UX connects, but basically, in essence, we think that in order to achieve better results in a better way, we need to connect things instead of departmentalizing and breaking down things. Okay, so that's about me, and we will start with the innovation. And instead of me talking, let's do this together. And before talking about innovation, maybe it would be better to define what it is, and to do it best way, I generally start with this question, like, which companies do you find most innovative? What companies comes to mind?
Tesla.
Tesla. Right. What else?
Apple.
Apple.
Yeah, Google.
Google. Cool. There is one more.
Elon Musk. I know.
I think Snapchat with their lasers.
Snapchat. Amazon. So these companies generally come to mind, especially Apple, then Google, Airbnb, Tesla. We could change the logos, but what makes these companies innovative? Why do we call these companies innovative?
They're first in something.
Yeah,
They are first in something. Something.
they don't follow, they create new ideas.
They don't follow, they create new ideas.
Because media say so.
So,
Because media
media
say
says so. Cool. That's
Because they all
True.
have their own R&D projects.
They do R&D projects. So something new, right? They create something new. They are first, which makes them new too. But basically invention, they invent something. But the question is innovation the same thing as invention? Let's see, do you know this guy? Who this guy is? No one knows? Sorry? No. He's the Japanese one, this guy. I didn't know who this guy is too, but his name is Shunpei Yamazaki. So you know this guy too, right? Everyone knows. If invention was innovation, this guy, Shunpei Yamazaki, would be more innovative than Steve Jobs. By the way, I'm a mathematical engineer, so I like to formulate things a lot. And as you all know, this means big. Why? Because this guy, Shunpei Yamazaki, has 5,225 patents to his name. Steve Jobs only has 141. So obviously it's not just about invention, right? If it was invention, we would know Shunpei as the greatest innovator. That should be something else.
Implement innovations.
Sorry, what?
Implement innovations. They
Implementing.
Yes.
It's like the impact of this innovation.
Impact of it. Impact on people, impact on company. Cool. Very quickly we are getting there. So it's called commercialization. It's a weird word. Basically, you should invent something, but you should also make money. making money also should benefit people and company too, not just the company. But it's not just about commercialization too. If it were so, Saudi Aramco would be the most innovative company. They made $242 billion in profit. It's not just revenue, profit last year. And Apple made just 82 billion, it's very modest. And the funny thing is Apple is the second most profitable company. Like these guys are the first, these are second, and they're almost tripling them. There is no one in between. So it's not just about making money too. But we have invention and commercialization. So the formula again is multiplying them. So it's not just simply adding them together. What's the difference, you might say? So if, let's say, you have 100 points from invention, but you have no points, no skills in commercialization, you wouldn't be innovative then. You would just do new things and that wouldn't be innovation. Similarly, if you could just make, if you could just get 1 point in commercialization, you get 100 points in innovation, which is good, but as you can see, if you do not get both of them somewhat balanced, it diminishes the other one's value too much. But to get to 100 points, we could also get 10 from each other, and it would save us a lot of money. You can think of this as the budget of R&D and budget of marketing. So here you spend 101 and get 1. Here you spend just 20 and still get 100. Obviously, this is not the exact mathematics, but it's very close. If you don't have 2 going well together, it's not going to work very well for innovation. So we have invention, but also commercialization. So this is very much. Please.
What about Tesla in this case?
Sorry?
What about Tesla in this case?
Tesla.
What about?
So Tesla actually is a very good example for this because maybe you heard of this, what was he calling it? The grand plan. Elon Musk had this plan. He launched this super speedster car, a very expensive car to make some money. Then he used that money to make a more approachable car so that more people achieve it. And in the end, he's now still obviously not profitable, but on the way to become
So
profitable.
what is commercialization in this case?
What they do is they, I guess, sell.
What does it mean, commercialization? Is it profit or cost of the company?
Commercialization basically means that you make enough money to sustain your business.
To be
So-
alive.
Yeah, so obviously they get investment too, but to get investment they need to show some level of commercialization, and that's what they are doing. Cool. So these are obviously 2 separate mindsets, right? First we think about invention, creative thinking, then we think how to make money. So these are 2 separate mindsets, but they need to work harmoniously. Like you cannot just do first invention, then commercialize it. You need these capabilities work together. And now you might be asking to yourself, so am I really an innovator in that sense? What am I doing that covers all this? Well, yes, you are, because in order to achieve this innovation, the thing we call innovation, by creating an invention and commercializing it, we need all these different disciplines working together, and they should be working in such a way that they should increase their value altogether. So that's why this is just a representation of that, like it's the connections are not meaningful that much, but the idea is that you need all these different capabilities work together, and all of us, like you can be a developer, you can be a product designer, you can be a researcher in your company. Whatever you do, in the end, helps your company to create innovation. So that's why I bet you are an innovator. Another way to look at this, if you are an innovator or not, is to look at three different kinds of disruptive innovation. This is the three horizon model Steve Blank suggests. Steve Blank is a very famous lean startup advocate, and he has lots of articles, courses, and books on this. So he says that there is three levels to innovation. The first one, let's start with Horizon 3. This is the one we hear most about. It's the disruptive innovation we hear all the time, which basically means that we make something expensive like Hilton Hotel, still very high quality and not that much expensive. It's affordable for everyone. So this is the kind of big new disruptive innovation. Obviously, we don't get to work on this kind of stuff all the time, but there are two more levels to it. The second one, Uber Eats. Is there Uber Eats in Odessa? You have?
Not yet.
Not yet. But you know the idea, right? So they deliver food too. So this is another level of innovation. It's not as disruptive as Airbnb, but the idea is you have an existing business model. You deliver people with cars. Why not deliver food with cars? So this is another level. Sometimes some people get to work on this kind of stuff. So whenever you launch a new revenue stream for your product, a new feature that increases your revenue, it's closer to this one. We somehow know the customer value proposition well, but still it's innovation too. And finally, we have Horizon 1. Here, the business model doesn't change at all, but you constantly improve your processes, how you do things, and you constantly try to improve your conversion metrics, your revenue too. So we have three horizons, three levels of innovation, and whatever you do surely fits to one of these. So that's why, to me, all product people, whatever you do, you are innovators. So this was what of the innovation. We can also talk a bit about how it happens. You are all familiar with this model, I assume. So there is desirability, viability, and feasibility. On the intersection of this, we find innovation. So what basically this model tells us is that we need to build things that people want, customers want, but what we build should also help us sustain the business. We should make enough money to be able to repeat our value to the user, and we should also be able to build this product. There shouldn't be technological, legal limits that prevents us. So this is just shows where we can find innovation, but how is a different question. And the way I look at this, it starts with desirability. Whatever we do, we should first make sure that people want it, right? If people do not want it, there is no meaning. We cannot make money out of it. So it starts with making sure that people want what we build. Then, instead of going to technical feasibility details or legal details, we should think about if there's a business, like somehow in the future, or long term or mid term, can we make enough money to sustain the business? The costs should be ideally less than the profit so that we can sustain the business. If there is a problem there, if we cannot find that there is a business there, we should first look ways to find ways to make the business work. But if there's no way to do it, as far as we see, we should go back to desirability and ask, okay, what is the thing that I can sell to people and then make the business viable? So that's why we go step by step, start with the desirability, then understand it, and try to find viability. The next step obviously is feasibility. So that now we understand people want something and we can sell it and we can make it profitable. Now it's time to see if there are any legal or technical or political, whatever you call, problems to deal with. And obviously, again, if there's a problem, you go back to viability and see if you can change your business model to make it work. One example for this could be, you might assume that in your business model, you need to hire a lot of developers in AI. Let's say that you want to build an AI company, but then you find out that there is not enough AI developers in your vicinity, in your country. What you can do is you can change your business model. Instead of hiring these people, you can collaborate with other companies. You can cooperate with them. You can use their developers and share revenue maybe. And this way you solve the problem with feasibility and the model works. So basically what you do is you go through all these cycles, and when you validate all these three, it's very likely that you found something innovative. Otherwise, it's very difficult to realize it. So these three domains generally work like this. Obviously, you can try different routes, but from my own experience, both with large companies and startups, this sequence is the best sequence to follow. Okay, so as you can see from here, desirability is the first step and it's the most important step. If it doesn't work, the rest is meaningful. So it could be better to expand a bit more on this. Has anyone seen this research from CBI Insights? Top 20 reasons why startups fail. So I will show you the 17 of them. Just take a look. And I will ask you to guess the top 3. Okay, so guesses. What is the top reason startups fail?
Users.
Users.
Useless.
Useless. People don't want it.
Bad business model.
Bad business model. The model doesn't work. What else? Any guess?
I'd say poor marketing.
Sorry?
Poor marketing.
Poor marketing. Any other guess? We have bad business model, useless, and poor marketing. Who says bad business model? One. Okay. Who says poor marketing? One. Who says useless? What others are saying? If you are saying. Okay. It's no market need, basically. It's useless. Like, and by a large difference. The second is ran out of cash, and the third one is not the right team. Business model is here, so and poor marketing is just next. So this isn't this amazing? Like 42% of almost half of the startups are failing because nobody wants them. Nobody wants. And when you think about who become entrepreneurs, like they leave their jobs, maybe they borrow some money from their friends, family, and fools. They call the 3 Fs, and they invest their reputation and time to this, and only to see that no one wants it. So this is similar in larger companies too. They launch all the time new products and nobody uses it and they kill it. So that's why desirability, if people want it, and by want it, they should be paying it. It's not just want. If I offered you anything for free, you would want it, but if I asked you to pay me, you wouldn't pay me for everything I said. So desirability is crucial, obviously, and there is this framework, methodology, whatever you call it, jobs to be done methodology, which I find very useful to identify what people really want. It's very useful. So I'm going to try to explain how it works very quickly and with an example. So jobs to be done starts with our actual selves, so how things are today, and it says that everyone wants to be something else. So there is a there is a gap in between that we want to go to that desired self from today. So basically the idea is I need something to make this change. I want something to make me go to that desired self. And whatever makes this change is getting a job done. So basically the idea is that. I think it will be better clarified with an example. So imagine at the moment you are hungry. I guess you are hungry. You want to be full, right? If you are hungry, you want to be full. And whatever helps you get full, helps you get the job done. So that's the idea. You can get full with a simple hamburger like this. But the nice part of the methodology is coming after that. So for all kinds of jobs, there are 3 dimensions. This is a model Clayton Christensen made famous, and it's very useful. I use it in my work all the time. So he says that there is 3 dimensions to any job we have. A functional one, if you are hungry, you want to get full. That's the functional basic dimension of the job. We have another dimension to it, so it's the emotional dimension. So this one is a very simple hamburger, right? If you are very hungry and if you are in a rush, you can buy this from Burger King maybe. But this one is my kind of hamburger. It's Italian hamburger. It's not just simple bread and meat. It has this pesto sauce in it. The bread is not simple hamburger bread. It's Italian. I guess it's ciabatta bread. So you wouldn't eat this hamburger in a rush. You possibly take a friend, sit there, talk to him, and eat this. So this creates an emotional experience to it. And we have another dimension. Has anyone eaten that hamburger before? Let me bring it closer. So this is a gold covered one. Gold covered. Has anyone tried that? I tried it 3 months ago.
Is it tasty?
It's addictive, like I have to eat it every week, otherwise. So why would anyone eat a burger that costs $1,100 to $1,100? Why would anyone do this?
Because they can.
New experience.
New experience. What kind of experience? So we talked about the experience in emotional dimension. So why is social? It's social dimension of the job. Imagine this: so you are so rich, you have no functional jobs to get done. Everything is happening for you. You are so rich, and since you have that much money, you have tasted all the emotions too. There is no emotion you can taste anymore. So it's not about you anymore. It's about the society. You should show people that you can eat a burger for $1,000. So whatever we do, whatever job we need to get done, has these 3 dimensions to it. So this burger could be $2, $3, I guess. This could be $15, $30 maybe, and this is $1,100. So that's why it's not just features, but what it means to the customer, it's very important. And as you can see, the other nice thing about this methodology is, whatever you do, functionally it should work. Like whichever you eat, you get full. Only after that, you can satisfy people's emotional needs and social needs. And with a more technological example, we can look at how it works, how jobs to become works on technological life. So this is the personal jukebox. When we spoke about invention, new products, we spoke that these companies are first. But generally, Apple does nothing first. They always wait for the market to learn a certain technology, and then they perfect it. Then they launch it, whatever they do. So this is, obviously, this is like almost 20 years ago. You might not remember, but this is the personal jukebox. Basically, functionally, it's the same as iPod. iPod had, I guess, 5 gigabytes of storage. This had 4. Price were close. Functionality is the same. But when you look at emotional dimension, you wouldn't have any emotional connection with this one, if you are not particularly interested in ugly things. I mean, that's a thing, right? And also socially, like if you were to put this on your desk, in your bag, and if some people saw it, you wouldn't feel proud that much. But with iPod, especially when it came out first, you would feel a bit proud. I think still it's what Apple does too. Like they sell these things, phones, tablets, very expensively because it gives us the social status. So jobs to be done mapped to these huge players also shows that if you can check all 3, you can sell things very, very expensively, but you don't need to check all 3. If your competition is weak, you just can go by with functionality. If there is a bit more competition, you should look for ways to add emotional value to. And social value is something very difficult. Like not every product can achieve it, but if you can achieve it, you can charge $1,000 for an Android. So basically, that's why jobs to be done almost equals the desirability in my mind. So if you can clearly understand what job people are trying to get done on these 3 dimensions, you understand if people want something or not. So how do we go from this job to be done thing to business, right? Because we said that you need to understand that if the thing we build is desirable, but then we need to commercialize it too. This is called the business model canvas. Has anyone filled one before?
Yeah.
Okay, well, where do you start filling this?
Customer segments.
Customer segments.
Definitely.
Customer. So you define your customers, and then what you do is you need to identify what you sell to them, right? It's the heart of the business model. You need to define customers first, who you are selling, but what you are selling is the core to your business. So how this works very simply is that once you identify your customers and value propositions, actually this is like an iterative process. It's not just first customers, then value propositions. It goes back and forth. Once you define this, then you see how you take these products, value propositions. Oh, I was still talking. So you define how you take these value propositions from the channels to your customers and how you maintain your relationship with them. And this shows how you make money. And again, the left side of it, here you are more concerned with how to make these value propositions come true. So let's say if you are selling iPods, if you want to sell iPods, you need some partners to build it, like factories in China. Then you need some key activities to do, like design of the thing is very important. And also you need key resources to get these things done. This shows you your cost structure. And as you can see, it's all built on top of the job you are getting done. So this is how you go to business from jobs. Okay, so this was more innovation and desirability part of the talk, and this is the final part where I talk about how we bring all these concepts to our own job, day-to-day job, and this is where things get complex. So product is quite a complex thing, as you just saw now and live every day too. I like this photo quite a lot. Whenever I see it, you see this person here, I imagine what this person thinks of. Like, he's, I guess he's here, right? He's looking at this sheep.
Yes.
Yes. I was so focused with stars I couldn't identify. So she is looking at this stars and I feel like she's in awe, like she's overwhelmed, but also looking at this quite beautiful picture and enjoys it a lot. And I think product is quite similar too, right? We have customers, we have developers, we have marketing, we have design, we have research. All these things are similar to these stars. They are all over the place. We don't exactly know the structure, but we still love it. So product is similarly complex, and complex things are generally beautiful. So product is beautiful. So that's why I think this complexity makes it beautiful, but it's beautiful when you look at it. So this is another complex structure. Has anyone seen this before? I guess so. This is called Sierpinski triangle. It's quite a complex structure, as you can see. So if I ask you to tell me how to create this, an algorithm to create this structure, just guess how many steps would it take to define an algorithm to build this structure? 3. Good guess. How would it work?
Define one pyramid.
Define is including a lot of steps, I guess. It's quite complex. If someone asks us this kind of question, it would be very difficult for us. So from liking complex, we maybe come to hating complex because we have to build it now. It's very different to look at something complex and enjoy it, but it's also different to build it. Actually, it's just a 2-step algorithm. So first you take a triangle like this. It works on 3 dimensions too. And on the next step, what you do is you remove a part like this from the triangle, but this triangle divides the whole in 4 equal triangles. The only thing you should be careful about is that the bottom should be up. And from there on, if you repeat this process for all the black parts, you get this complex structure. Just 2 steps. It's complex, but it's also very simple. But this is not the kind of complexity we want to build, right? No product person would like to work in this kind of a job if product work was like this. Our job is more like this. We want to build this real complex, hard to formulate thing. And to manage it, we need more structure, more help too. So, a question to you again. Imagine you wake up here in the middle of this forest at night. You have no phone, there are no signs around. You have no idea if you're in Ukraine or not. How would you go home? What would you do?
Sleep until morning.
Sorry?
Sleep until morning.
Then how will you find in the morning?
First we should check trees and
Define whole.
define which region is that. And then
From trees. If you don't know the trees there,
Try to climb on tree and find some
We studied
Why?
in school this situation,
Why?
you know.
Sorry?
We studied this situation in school, everybody in our country. It's very easy for us.
But you have no idea. This may not be your country too.
It's just go for.
Everywhere is home here.
Yep.
Single step.
Single step. You would look for the North Star, right? If you know North, you would at least walk in one direction until you find something familiar. This is the same with product too. If we have a North Star in our work, it helps us show it. And to be honest, we have a lot of North Stars. Like, as you can see, I listed some of them here. All these methodologies things are showing us a way. But then there is another problem here. If you have this many North Stars, how can you understand where to go, right? All of them are showing a different direction too. So that's why we, at my company, took a step back and tried to understand what our real purpose is too. And our purpose is to provide results both to customers, they want something, and to business. And product is the thing that delivers that, right? Product is an agent that delivers results both to customers and companies. Imagine you go to a cake shop and you eat a cake. The result you get is maybe getting fat a bit, but you also get full. Then the company earns some money, and that's the core principle. So by realizing this, we wanted to structure all these other different methodologies around this core principle of building products. So it has 5 steps. It's called 5 Ds of product management and UX. It connects product management and UX to deliver the best results. My experience again showed me that when I was working for other companies, always the teams I ran included both product managers and UX designers and UI designers under the same roof. They were in the same team. I didn't like the idea of separating them because then it was creating conflict. They should be working together for the same role so that both the company and the customers were happy. So it has 5 steps. I will quickly go through them and close the talk. So the first 2 steps called destination and discovery. Basically, this is where we define our company goals and strategy, as well as we try to understand what people want, what is the desirable thing too. And together with methodologies, we find that principles help us a lot. Because no model, no methodology can work in every situation, right? They are just models. They work most of the time, but sometimes they do not work. Sometimes it's hard to make a decision. So that's why having principles help us make those decisions with more confidence. So the first principle we have is put the customers in center in whatever you do, but also put just right next to it the company you work for, because it should work for both of them. If you are not making both of them happy, there will be problems. So this is the first principle we subscribe to. And the second one, especially for strategic decisions, is you should know what your brand promises to people, and your product should surpass it. One simple example for this. So imagine you promise your child 60 euros if she passes her exam next week. And if you give her 50 euros, she wouldn't be that happy, right? Because you didn't keep your promise. But if you had promised her 30 euros and give 35 euros, still less than 40, she would be happier. So this is the same with brand and product too. If you brand something worthy as 30 euros and you didn't deliver that, people wouldn't be happy. You should know exactly what your brand promises to people, and product should be better than that so that people are delighted. Another principle we like, especially for discovery, is that you should always be asking why. That makes sense. But the answer shouldn't be because I think so. The answer should always be coming from a test you do. There should be some evidence, some data that can convince others. Otherwise, it's an endless discussion. So this is what we especially use in the discovery mode. Okay, so we understand what people want and what our goals are. The next step is actually building it. So definition and design is exactly defining what product should look like, work like, and people, what exactly you want people to feel. So it includes interface design, it includes requirements gathering, it includes business analysis. All these happen here in definition design. And then you connect it with development too, because in order to launch the product and take it to the people, you should be able to develop it. So that's why we look at them, look at the two together. So one principle for definition and design we subscribe to is that you should always remember this. No one is designing anything. We are trying to design people's behaviors. Right? So imagine this. It's very easy to lose ourselves to interface design, UI design, how this should look, how this should, which color we should use, etc. But the purpose of design is not making them look good or feel good that much. We try to change people's behaviors. We want them to do whatever we want from them, like subscribe to our newsletter, buy our product, etc. And all these are behaviors, it's not interface. This is coming from Jeff Bezos directly. This is his principle and we think it's very useful too. You should be stubborn on the details, you should insist on the vision, the long-term goal, but the details might change, so that's why you should be flexible on the details. Imagine you want to go to the airport from here. You can go with a car, you can go with a bike, but in the end you want to go to the airport. You should insist on that, but the details on the way could change. Finally, we have data and optimization. So in this part, we launch the product, now data flows. We should first structure how we collect that data, and then we should find ways to make use of the data to improve and optimize our product. And this is, again, coming from Peter Drucker. You cannot manage nor improve what you don't measure, very obvious, I guess. So finally, it looks like this in 5 steps from strategy to development and optimization. This is how we connect those concepts to execution. I will also give a couple of examples on exact tools and methods we use. But obviously, this is not this straightforward, right? We never can say that we define everything and now develop 3 months later everything will be fine. No, this is never the case. Product managers, designers always work together to make things better, work better. And that's why it's more like this. There is always back and forth. And this is the nature of product building. So this is what iteration means too. Whatever you do in a step teaches you something about the step before, so you should go back and clarify it and move along. And it's always interconnected, never stops. Like you don't just launch a product and leave it there. You always learn from data and you have optimization ideas, so you take them back to your strategic decisions and put into the loop once more. This model was working fine for us for a while, but then we saw that it's quite complex, so we are working on a next iteration of it. I will share very briefly. And these are just for you so that you can later research. All our learnings are based on other people's great work. We find these people to be very helpful when you think about strategic decisions, especially how to differentiate and create new business ideas. So one tool we use is called Strategy Canvas. It's coming from Blue Ocean methodology, which is coming from René Lebon and Chang Kim. So this is an actual artifact of a recent project we did with a large holding in Turkey. So what strategic canvas basically does is you define the value propositions you have, the different kind of values you provide to people. These could be functions, these could be services. It depends on you, but in the end, we should create some value for the people. So in this example, we are playing with an idea of new business where we try to replace agents, real estate agents. So the black curve you see is how well agents are doing on these dimensions. So for example, agents are very good at showing houses. So whatever we do, from discovery, from user research, from design thinking, workshops, we learn that we should be very good at house showing too. But what we realized that with our research, these new value propositions are not provided by agents at all. So this shows us how to differentiate from agents. Agents do not help with, in Turkey at least, house insurance at all. But this is a need in customers. So what you do with strategy canvas is that you list all your value propositions, then you map your main competitor, how well they do it, and then you also map yourself, and you can easily explain this is what we do, and these are the areas we are creating new value propositions. These are the areas we are going to be better than them, and this way you can easily communicate your strategy to whoever you want, to your employees, your investors, whoever you want. This has been very helpful for us. The next step was discovery. Again, these people are very helpful. Especially Tomer Sharon has a lot of practical tools. Like he has a couple of books on validating product ideas. He's working on a new book too. And he publishes these tools on Airtable, Google Sheets you can use for research. He's a great guy. And Steve Lang for everything. So we use customer journey maps a lot. This is another artifact of the previous project I showed you. Here, customer journey maps basically show what steps people take to get a job done. So this map shows how people search for houses here, then choose favorites, go to visit, and negotiate in between, sign and pay, and then rent it. So once you identify those steps, what you do is, in order to find business opportunities, you define how important the need is in each step. So the height of bars you see here shows how important it is. If it's low, it's not that much important. If it's high, then it's too important. Then what we added on top of it is that our competition is agents, right? So with green bars, you see how well agents do in each step. You learn this by interviews, discovery, activities. And red bars also show how much of a problem they create in each step. And when you look at this picture from a few steps away, you see that here they do nothing. They do not help with choosing favorites to people who try to rent. So this is an opportunity to tap into the market. If you provide these kind of value propositions, you might find people appreciating your service, then you can sell other services too. Another thing you can see from this picture is that towards the end of the journey, agents create a lot of problems. So if you can solve the problems they create, you can again make money and create a sustainable innovation tool. This is a very useful tool as well as strategic analysis. The next is definition and design. Here, the guys on the right are more about how people behave, how people think. So if you want to understand behaviors and how we think, you can read books from Daniel Kahneman and also BJ Fogg's work. And Ryan Singer from Basecamp, he's very practical too. Again, if you want to better understand and improve your product definition activities, you can use his methodologies. So one methodology he uses called breadboarding. Instead of creating wireframes thinking about the structure, what you can do is you can just focus on functions and information or data on any interaction point or touch point or screen in your app. So the idea is you start with the last screen on the interaction you want to design. Here I show you again from a different project is the payment flow we designed for a services company. So this company sells cleaning services online. You buy a cleaning service and someone comes and cleans your house. So this is how we model their payment process. You start with the last screen and you define what functions should be on that screen. So if someone is buying a service, they will possibly see something post-payment, like your payment is completed. On that page, you start with that page and you then define your first page. Then the idea is you go back and fill the gaps in between. And without designing any screens, just by focusing on functions and information, you are able to prototype your product. And from here, you can easily identify the gaps and see how all these screens come together. And then you can move on to requirement definition and wireframe. For development, there are a lot of tools you can use for road mapping. We like merging product metrics with what we do. So for each cycle, we define obviously what items we will be working on and just ship, and how they affect key product metrics. And if you are using OKRs, key OKRs, or these could be KPIs in your company. Finally, data and optimization. For data and optimization, if you want to get tactical, like if you need structures, how to define events and track events, I suggest Avinash Kaushik from Google. He has an incredible blog. You can find anything and everything there. And also they make work for understanding the structures better. And for optimization, Shanalis is very good. This is again from another project we did with a wish list creation and gifting app. Basically what you do is almost all analytics tools work in the same way. You have an event and action. One example here, so this is a wish list app. You create wish list. Then with those events you define what dimensions, extra information you want to track. So with wish list creating, we wanted to define who creates the wish list, because someone can create a wish list for themselves or for someone else. And this is called analytics taxonomy. If you have an analytics taxonomy document, and this is from Segment.com, I guess, it is very useful to track your events. So I want to close with Steve Jobs. In a research I read that if you show Steve Jobs' picture in a presentation for 40 seconds, the impact is double. So you have, I guess, 25 more seconds. No, they asked Steve Jobs, how can you be so creative, so innovative? What makes you so innovative or creative? And he just answered, I just connect the dots. This is what he says. So connecting the dots is very important. And if we are willing to build this, as you can see, there are a lot of dots. And this is how we connect the dots at the moment. I hope it was useful to you too. And I want to thank you for bearing with me for all this, I guess, more than 1 hour, right? Thank you very, very much. That's all I have. And that's the next iteration, so this is quite complex and messy. It was working fine, but now we are working on a version where we connect the tools, people, time frame to different sections, and it's also conceptually better described, so you answer why, what, and how questions all the time to create product. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can use these links and emails. Thank you very much.
Again, if you have questions, just shoot it.
Yeah, please.
Okay. I think they're a bit shy, you know. But
There is
basically,
one question.
Akar, thank you very much. I try to define the question. Product people know methodology, know rules. They know these people who inspiration them. Everything is clear, and everybody who
Everything is clear?
I want to ask about that. What is the problem? Why company, good company, clever company, reach different results? Why some startups is approach very high results, another
I understand the question.
what do you think? I don't talk about the big company. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
talk about millions, billions. Let's talk about
Small ones,
small
right?
ones. Yes.
Startups. So here I want to give the example of Zeppelin because I got the chance to work with them, and as you know, like they are the number one in what they do, and they basically help designers and developers to collaborate by helping creating design requirements automatically from sketch files. So that's what they do. So the first thing is, as I spoke in the very early parts of the presentation, is finding something desirable. First, that should be there. If the thing you do is not desired by anyone, I will try to find that slide so that I can reference to it.
But everybody knows about that. Why they make not desirable.
Sorry, what? So you might assume that some people want it, but you should make sure first it's desirable. Then there should be a business, should be built on top of it. But for startups, for small companies, it's mostly about persevering. Like you should be, if you are sure of these three, then you should risk almost everything as much as you can to get it done. And you should also know that you conceptually you might understand it if it's desirable, viable, and feasible, but getting it done requires a lot of work, execution, and suffering. What I see mostly is that startups start with good ideas on desirability and viability, but they are basically being lazy, I guess. And sometimes it's not laziness, it's they lose their purpose on the way to. It's mostly about execution if you get these things right. And it's very hard to do because you risk a lot of things. You give up on your salary, you give up on your reputation, you take a break from your career maybe. It's a very hard thing to pursue too. Actually, it's what makes me not want to be an entrepreneur too, because it's very hard, it's very difficult. Psychologically, it's very difficult to persevere. You have to give up on the time you share with your family, with your friends. You are not earning as much as you do, you are used to, so you are not able to go to the holidays, you are not able to eat out. These are realities. Like when we first started with those startups at Startup Bootcamp, most of them, like, they were in debt. Basically, they were borrowing money from their friends. If you are not willing to do this, then it's very hard to persevere, because whatever you do, especially if you are an innovative new startup, people wouldn't easily believe that this is something useful. So you need time to convince them. It takes time. And that's how I see it.
Another question. How can I understand when I must
the best way to test an idea is trying to sell it. If you are able to sell it, like if someone pays you for that, it's the best sign. So the closest you can get to it, there are a couple of very good testing ideas. One of them is called fake doors. So what you do is you put up your website like it's functioning, and you have these buttons for purchasing it. And when people click purchase, you can see if they are willing to buy or not. Obviously, not everyone clicks will buy, but still it's an indication. So if you are not able to sell it, and if you can analyze the reasons well, sometimes the problem could be the price, not the functionality itself. So if you can find the right price, you can sell it too. But the best way I saw is, if you are able to sell it, you should pursue it. Any other questions?
Okay. Let's give it up for Akar one more time.